This is the documentary of Tamariki's voyage from Hobart, Tasmania to Picton, New Zealand in May 2019. Tamariki is a 45-foot timber ketch owned by Peter Mortimer from Auckland. She has been cruising the Pacific for a number of seasons. This last season saw her sailing from New Zealand to Australia via Vanuatu, New Caledonia and Chesterfield Reef, where Peter slowly worked his way down the eastern coast of Australia to Tasmania, arriving in time for the biannual Wooden Boat Festival, and to meet up with Canadian cruising friends Serge and Joanne on their yacht Spirare, a 35-foot Southern Cross design. Now that winter was arriving, it was time to return to New Zealand, and Peter had invited his son James and me to crew the yacht across the Tasman Sea. Saturday the 27th of April, and I left for Hobart, Tasmania. Changing planes in Sydney, I arrived to showery cool conditions, catching the airport bus into the city centre, crossing over the Tasman Bridge, to find Pete and Tamariki on the harbour dock. After dropping my bags, we walked into the Salamanca market, and Pete shouted me a welcoming beer. The market was in full swing, and we had a look around enjoying the festive atmosphere. On Sunday, Peter suggested I take the ferry to see the Mona Museum, located further up the Derwent River. It was built by millionaire David Walsh, who made his money from gambling. With unfettered money to play with, he could build a gallery without restrictions, and it's a wonderfully fanciful place. Easy to get lost there for the day. Just on from the Tasman Bridge, we went past the Nystar zinc smelter. On under the Bowen Bridge, and we arrived at Mona. A beautiful dawn on Monday morning, captured on my phone on the way to the shower block. The charter yacht Lord Nelson was leaving to be hauled for its annual maintenance. James was scheduled to arrive in the afternoon, so I had time to grab the local Explorer bus and see some of the sights. Battery Point with its historic cottages, Cascades Brewery, which made Cooper's Ale a good local beer. I got off at the Botanic Gardens, which were a real treat. After lunch, it was back into town to meet James and unpack the Jenica that he brought with him. Tuesday morning, and we're leaving the dock to get fuel round at the one of the local marinas. Serge and Joanne on Spirare had arrived the day before and were planning to also cross the Tasman to Picton. There was a high-pitched whine at idle, which James explained was the clean propeller.
Is it?
In idle.
Really?
Yeah, it happens when it's very, very clean.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
Royal Yacht Club of Tasmania. After filling with diesel, we returned to the dock, and as it was such a good day, I hired a car and we all set off to go up Mount Wellington. The view from the top at 1,271 metres is fantastic. We could see the Derwent River wind its way down past Hobart on out to the Tasman Sea. Good cell phone reception for James here, but it's known to be windy with a temperature 10 degrees lower than at sea level. It sure was windy. One of the features of the mountain is the dolerite columns. With the cold temperature, we were pleased to get back into a warm car and enjoy our last view of the Derwent River on descent.
There's no point leaving from here with this 30 knot snout out there, but leaving Thursday from here-ish, we've got a northerly that might be on the nose, but then once the front starts to form, we get this higher wind, sort of 30 plus out here, so we don't really want to leave until
Back in Thursday.
So back in maybe Thursday morning. If we left Thursday morning, you've got...
The weather wasn't playing ball. All the models weren't aligning, and depressions were predicted by some, but not others. It looked like no window till after the coming weekend. So we decided we should make use of the time to explore some of the local sites and go to Port Arthur. On a grey, still morning, we set off for Port Arthur, just over 40 nautical miles away across Storm Bay. Pot Lighthouse. We got a bit of wind after lunch, but it looked like Port Arthur was too far for one day. So we headed into Nubina for the night, passing a large fish farm on the way in. This is the strategy meeting of the team to determine what weather window we take.
Yep.
So we decided we'd have some refreshments as well, and a little bit of cheese. Going out the gap there, halfway between. We're leaving Nubina, heading round to Port Arthur. It's about 18-mile trip. We'll explore Port Arthur. It's Friday and we've got the weekend because we can't leave till Monday. Gives us a chance to look at the weather updates and see what the trip prognosis might be. Passing Cape Raoul. Quite a sight with its columnar dolerite. I remember seeing the Cape in shots of yachts and the Sydney Hobart rounding it, which made it a special moment for me, sailing around such a famous landmark. There was nice light as we motored into Port Arthur, with the old brick buildings glowing in the sunshine. Fortunately, we could pick up a free public mooring buoy in sheltered water close to the shore. Marine and Safety Tasmania conveniently provides a number of moorings around the coast, and they are available on a first-come, first-served basis. Pete assembled his nesting dinghy, and we headed ashore to explore.
You're showing off, aren't you? Yeah. I can see you. Well, he's not even flapping.
I get a pressure down the whistle.
They got the pressure wave. So we're sailing
Nice to have
across
some sails up.
Storm Bay in about 20 knots from the south, and we're doing a nice 7.87. Everything under control as we have morning tea and our chocolate bickies.
Yeah, we'll need some more chuggy bickies, bro. Just going to buy a case of them before we go.
It was back to the supermarket to top up with fresh supplies. Jane's preparing one of our meals for on passage. It's a what is
Chili.
it? What is it?
A chili.
What sort of chili?
Chicken?
A chili.
A chili. But tonight we're going out to get fish and chips for our final meal ashore before we set.
Supper.
The last supper.
Even though Serge says we shouldn't go, we're going. Well, Monday came and the forecast had changed. Bugger, can't leave. This was very frustrating, and it put a real spanner in the works for James, as by the time he would get back to New Zealand, it was now past a planned outing on Steinlager and Lion, New Zealand. With no clear prospect of when we would go, James pulled the plug and booked his flight home. That night, though, we still had a group activity. Joanne had seen a bell ringing exhibition open to the public, so with a sceptical view I headed off to be social. Well, believe it or not, I was pleasantly surprised by the intricacies of bell ringing and enjoyed finding out how it was done. The only thing I didn't like was the swaying bell tower when we were up the top. The large super yacht left, no doubt able to outrun the bad weather, and James packed up his beloved Jenica and got his flight home. As the weather would probably not turn for about a week, Pete and I decided to do a further trip to explore inside Bruny Island and the Huon River heading up to Cygnet. We saw a basking seal, where they hold their flipper in the air to warm up. The Kettering to Bruny Island ferry was busy with their daily schedule. No real wind, so more motoring. We passed a sunken yacht, always a horrible sight to see, and we were trying to work out how it happened. On to Cygnet, a small settlement known for its swans and artisan studios. The next morning, we had some light rain, but it was time to walk into town. After a kangaroo pie, we found the local butcher to get a nice steak for dinner. Couldn't resist a photo of his quirky advertising. It was about 5 degrees that day, so we were both searching for gloves to keep our hands warm. An inky day as we motor back from Cygnet to Kettering. Overcast, dull, no wind.
But we have a current going with us of about a knot. So that's good. And in the distance we can see Mount Wellington. We stopped for the night in Barnes Bay in North Bruny Island and had a beautiful sunrise, after which we motored across to Kettering to get more diesel. Coming back from Kettering, a headwind developed and we opened the throttle to push us along. Off went the engine bilge alarm. Uh-oh! The shaft seal was leaking under load. The look on Pete's face said it all. Action was required before heading out into the Tasman Sea. He called up the marina at the Royal Yacht Club of Tasmania, and fortunately they could take us straight away, so it was a left turn to the haul out. They had a very ingenious way of moving yachts around the yard, with a little pusher motor which could move the cradle on railway lines around the level yard. We worked well into the evening to replace the shaft seal, with a bit of extra work required to fix a cross-threaded nut. High and dry, we couldn't relaunch for another day, as the yard bosun had the day off. Time for Pete to do the prop with a silicone coating. Relaunched on a fine Saturday morning, we returned to the Hobart Harbour Wall to catch up on washing. On Sunday, we were invited out for a breakfast sail on Rona H, a 1942 charter ship berthed behind us. Julian Charles operated mostly weekend charters and had got to know Pete during his time there. Lucky for us, as we had a great morning on the harbour. And you dialed up some wind for us. That was nice. The weather was finally shaping up for a Tuesday departure, leaving after a passing front on the Monday. "10:30. We got away just before 9 from the dock, cleared customs.
We did.
And now we're on our way, and Pete's going to take us through the Denison Canal to head a bit north.
Keep out of the swells, mate. Keep out of the big swells, which they had a surfing contest down there today. 16-foot swells. They had wonderful surf. We're going to avoid that today.
So how are you feeling about the trip?
Oh, I'm nervous about you, Rog. Hoping you'll cope under the strain of being with me in this wooden boat for 10 days. But I'm pretty sure we'll be alright. I feel a bit more confident than I did a few days ago, when the wind seemed to be doing its damnedest to create all sorts of mess in the middle. And Bob McDavid, when he sent us the route plan, he didn't say, "Don't go."
No, so... Well, not this time.
Not this time.
Better.
He might if I send him an email tomorrow and say, "Look, we're only a couple of miles off the coast and it's as rough as buggery. What do we do?"
Yeah.
No, looking good, looking positive. And for us, an added bonus is that Sergio and Spirare has decided that it's safe enough for him in the if it's safe enough for him, it's good
Yes.
enough for anybody.
He's known as a conservative sailor, so that's good.
Very. Well, neither of us want to break anything on the way, and neither of us want to suffer a very, very uncomfortable passage. And Serge's motto always is, we're out here because it's fun.
Right, I like the sound of that. We're out here because it's fun.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, good. You
Yep.
got any concerns?
No, just that, the skipper's going to slow us down and I'm going to try and speed us up.
Yeah, well, it'll be a tussle all the way, Rog. Yeah, tussle all the way.
No, we all want to arrive there in one piece and the boat in one piece, so we'll be conservative.
And both be on the boat.
Yep.
Keep all the water outside it.
We're a little bit early for the Denison Canal, so we've hove to, just the mainsail held in tight, and we're drifting slowly forward sideways, about 1.7 knots. Nice even course, so that should kill a bit of time.
It's quite interesting looking over the side. You can see the large eddies coming off the keel as we drift sideways. Makes it very comfortable.
So comfortable, in fact, that Pete's going to use the time and put the chicken in the pot.
Put the chicken in the pot, mate.
Got the chart plotter out so that we get the right course. Coming up to the Denison Canal, we've just got to round that island and come up to the canal, and we're going to follow Spirare. Follow that boat. Chicken soup, potato dinner in the nice calm before we enter the Tasman Sea as we follow Spirare down the channel towards
The Marion Narrows.
toward the Marion Narrow. Hopefully we get through. After negotiating the Marion Narrows, it was a relief when we successfully emerged into the Tasman Sea on sunset. All the elements seemed to be in our favour as dolphins guided our departure with a rising moon and a lovely westerly breeze and the setting sun. What more could we ask for? Peter requested a trip forecast from well-respected New Zealand weather forecaster Bob McDavitt. Bob had previously warned of large swells coming up from depressions in the Southern Ocean. Hence his recommended course was to head north-northeast quickly to avoid the large swells. I have shown a simplified version of the swell contours. Once well north we would turn east and track across with the movement of a high-pressure system. Maximum anticipated swells would be about 4 metres with a period of 9 seconds. We had a front predicted to pass on Saturday the 18th of May. The weather on arrival to New Zealand would be forecast later in the trip. We had a single sideband radio fitted with a Pactor 3 modem with a Sail Mail subscription. This allowed us to receive short text emails at sea, as well as weather grid files of updated forecasts. We also received a forecast chart showing wind speed, wind gusts, wind direction, air pressure, sea temperature, air temperature and rain for the trip. Quite a lot of information to include in one chart. It proved uncannily accurate, with the wind gusts when we left matching the predicted 29 knots. You'll probably have to pause the video to study the image to take it all in. A fascinating amount of information.
Day 2.
Day 2. More sandwiches.
We've got cheese and bacon toasted sandwiches.
That's the one. Quite
Because
good.
we had some bacon left over. And we can't see it now, but I had to cut the corners off the bread to fit them in the pan. The pan's not quite big enough. So we've got very little wind, 10 knots if that, 8 knots from the west, southwest, and we're running at about 40 to 50 degrees. Try and get north out of this swell if you can see any of it. It's running at about 2, sometimes 2.5 metres. We're poled out, but not enough wind to keep us going. So we're just running the motor to gently push us along. 4:45 on day 2, the sun setting. The wind has completely disappeared, but we've got 2 big swells, one from the south and one coming across from the west. So a bit lumpy. Pete's doing the curry for dinner with rice, and we'll see what the night brings and tomorrow brings. The sunset on Tamariki. Beginning of day 3. We've just turned off the motor for a while for our morning radio schedule with Spirare, who are about 30 odd miles behind us. And before we start the engine again, Captain Pete said, I'll check the oil. So he's gone down into the engine room and
In here, Rog.
disappeared in there. White, just got some white clouds appearing. And we have a light north-easterly at the moment, but not enough to power us. The task today is to fix the starboard navigation light. On our first night out, Serge had said he couldn't see it. Pete tested the voltage at the light and he was only getting 1.5 volts. He suspected the wire had got some water in it. So we managed after about 4 attempts to get a new wire up the pulpit leg to the light, and all was well again.
Of course, as you would have it, as soon as we put full sail up, the wind comes barrelling in, and so does the albatross. So we may have to reduce sail as soon as we put it all up.
Oh, it keeps us off the streets, mate.
I have to get the captain munching on his sandwiches.
Yeah, good sandwich, Rog.
Yeah, what would you like for lunch today, Captain? Oh, we better stop the frying stuff, we're using too much butter.
And the bloody alarm keeps going on.
Yeah, smoke, smoke.
Yeah.
So we're back to ham and cheese sandwiches.
Yeah, pretty good, really. Bloody
And-
nice, fresh.
We had to take the mizzen down to balance the helm, and of course the wind eases a little bit, but it's quite nice sailing now, 7.5 knots
Yeah.
on day 4. Kinsai Maru, who altered course to go behind us
Yeah.
after the AIS showed we were on a collision course. Captain Pete called him up. He answered immediately and said, "Stand on, we will change course. Have a safe journey." So that was very lucky, because just as we were calling, the wind died and we lost manoeuvrability. But now everything's all right. Day 4, Friday, as we're reefing the main. Sunrise on Saturday. It's getting earlier as we travel further east. It's laundry day. Clean up all round and use the sun and the calm conditions to clean up the ship and clean up the crew.
That's the one with clean up the crew.
Complete change of attire for me, from head to toe, all clean, ready to take on the challenge ahead. But it's a bit odd, Pete, having a t-shirt on with your hat.
Well, considering I started this morning with socks, slippers, long pants, two shirts, a t-shirt and a jersey. Fantastic. Amazing the difference that a shower will make.
We had these, very warm moments in the last couple of hours, and then as the sun goes down, we dress up again. But it's quite pleasant. It was like nighting inside the cabin for most of the days now. It's a bit chilly at night, but it's fine. So We're definitely not in Tasmania anymore.
No, that is correct. That is correct. So we'll touch base again at about 9 o'clock tomorrow morning and see how you went through the night.
Okay, be safe and have a good night to you both, and we'll talk to you tomorrow morning.
What is there to say about last night? I'm glad it's over.
The rougher conditions, and it wasn't horrendous. It was just uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. 25 plus, 3 or 4 metres seas. Rod said there's a bit of rain a couple of times. The good ship Tamariki seemed to be handling it quite well. We were doing somewhere between 6.5 and 8.5 knots most of the time.
Yes.
Maybe the good speed gave us a...
It increased our average. That was good. And the last of the, well, nearly the last of the iceberg lettuce is out for lunch. So instead of a blat, we're having a halat, ham lettuce, tomato, no cheese. We left that off. We've been going through that quickly.
Yeah. And day 6 and I'm still in my slippers.
Yeah, looks like a comfortable position. Yeah. Well, I've always flown over and wondered what was down below. Now I know. Lots of water. And today it's overcast, some showers, passing albatrosses. And not too bad, the sea's calmed down quite nicely. You had a fishing buoy in the night, buoy number 7, at least it showed its position. There's still a swell coming through, but it's nicely ordered, gentle slope, and if you've got wind to fill your sail, then you hardly even notice. What did we work out? We did 80 kilometres up and down waves between here and New Zealand. Work that one out. Wind has just come in.
Yes, it has.
Peter stuck his nose out and sniffed it.
Yep.
Decided to put a reef in.
Yep.
And no sooner had he done that and the wind came.
That's good, eh? It's the way to get the wind to come.
So now we're off at 6.5 knots towards Cape Farewell Spit. Whether it holds or not, it might be just due to those rain showers up above us. But
Okay. And we'll just take it out the oven.
my birthday, this is birthday lunch.
Well done, Rog.
Yeah. Oh, candles and all.
Well, here you go, Rog. Happy birthday.
Wow. Birthday at sea.
Happy 40th, whatever it is.
And a bit.
And a bit. Happy 40th and a bit. We've only got 3 candles, so that's all.
Well, that's right. 63.
Yeah. So
there we
that's all
go.
you can have.
Well, that's a work of art.
It is. It is a work of art.
Slaving over a hot stove all day?
All day in the
Just
kitchen.
for me.
Yeah, just for you, Rod. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Roger. Happy birthday to you.
Yay! And we'll put the knife in. Depends whether we want triangular pieces. Maya would love this cake because it's got licorice on it. Ship stores special, is it? Ship
Oh yeah,
stores.
ship store only comes out on
Mount Gay, 1703.
black label.
Whoa.
Black label. Here's to you. Happy birthday, mate.
Happy birthday, see.
Yeah. Yeah, but the 10-inch bar and bar, the element
Okay.
needs to be replaced. Not the element. Well, what is the element?
The
It's
burner.
the burner.
After motoring all night, we turned the motor off just to do our radio schedule with Spirare, and a little breeze sprang up, and it's coming from the west, so we're winging it. Pretty gentle breeze, only doing sort of 4 to 5, but it's in the right direction and it may build. So a pretty nice day out here. The last of one of the rainbows. We're about 400 miles from our waypoint in Cook Strait. We've got quite a big swell running. It varies, sometimes it's a bit flatter and then other times it's been up to 4 meters. But they're long periods, so it doesn't give us a problem. So we'll run like this for a little while and see what happens.
Just did a jibe, everything's sorted, and I've still got my carpets on the top. You won't see them, but the little red pins are Spirare. We're both doing about 140 odd a day. There's Spirare this morning at 0900. There's us obviously at 900 there. I just haven't shifted that pin. So somehow Roger's got too tall to do the dishes, which is a serious disadvantage in the design of the boat.
So I can dry up.
Yeah, you can dry.
That's the only place I can stand.
Yeah. You can manage the stooping for long enough to make a sandwich at lunchtime. That's the rest of the time it's too hard on the poor gentleman.
This is just to show you that sailing is hard work
Yes, it is hard work, Roger.
and stressful.
Stressful, you wouldn't believe the stress.
In the freezing temperatures we had to survive.
Yeah, no, that's just awful. Take this top layer off.
But we decided that somebody had to do it.
Yeah. Can't everybody can't get over the bloody harbour bridge in the morning.
No, so we had to go somewhere else.
So we've got to do our bit while we can.
Well, I was thinking about the job description before of what you'd actually write, and it was sort of person required, continuous work for 24 hours for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You do get some periods of rest, but may be called upon at any time.
Yeah.
your sleeping arrangements will be rocking and rolling permanently.
Yeah.
You'll have to hang on permanently.
Yeah.
Could be cold and windy and bumpy.
That's the one. And it must be able to function in a toilet that's exactly like a portaloo being driven down a rough country road at 30 miles an hour. So if you can
with unknown bumps.
So if you can manage that sort of situation, you're suited for the journey.
And how many applicants did you get?
Not one.
I applied.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh,
yeah.
I think you applied before I'd written the spec.
Ah. So it's not a bad job on days like today, as you can see, but we don't show you the other times because we didn't want to frighten you.
So here we are at day 9. Oh, there's about day 9. And Roger's done enough of the shipboard chores today. You can see he's tidied up the forward cabin. And now he's moved into the viewing lounge on board Tamariki. He's actually got himself a movie. And he's whiling away today because we're only doing 5 knots watching a movie. It's a good space to be.
Well, up on deck after watching the movie, looks like we're finally getting a little bit of wind from aft, westerly. So I think it's time to start putting up a sail. Sailing once again, properly. Pete's just going to put the downhaul on, straight off his boom so he doesn't twist the sail.
Well, there's Roger in his place of happiness with his little GoPro stuck right out there on the end of his extended pole cam arm, taking pictures of us going east. And a nice day it's turned out to be too. We've got about 15 knot breeze finally after motoring for bloody weeks.
This is just to show that we have standards.
Yeah, we're civilised sometimes.
Yes.
Don't let the beer go, mate. Come in.
Swell, yep. So, cheers.
Here's to you. Happy birthday yesterday. About 280 something miles to go.
And champagne sailing conditions
Absolutely.
at last.
Yeah.
Sliding downwind, wing and wing.
Yep. After 2 weeks.
We've been waiting. Quite nice. Close to our last sandwich, as we're about
170 miles.
170 miles from the waypoint, and got a lovely southerly, about 12 knots.
Yes, 12 knots.
Pete's got the fishing gear out. He's going to try his hand because Serge goaded him into it.
Yes, pretty much.
This is Fishing for Dummies 101. This is the Mortimer patented
the dispatching of
bait board. I think Burnsco could get the rights to this. Go into mass production, Pete. Do them in your spare time.
Give me something to do in my spare time, mate. Yeah, you didn't catch one.
No, no tuna on the coast, nothing coming down the coast like you, and in Tasmania it's basically, flatness, that's about it.
Yeah, well, we're pretty lucky, aren't we? Pretty lucky.
That's good. So, well, this is it. We got to turn south as soon as we clear the spit. The wind's gonna, abate a bit, and I think we'll be there early hours tomorrow morning.
Fitiatu quehine marino anae ehine okimaira.
I was surprised how emotional I felt seeing the South Island and Farewell Spit appear at dawn. Not just because I was home, but probably because the Tasman is known for some mean weather, and this trip we had been kindly let through.
Because he saw the land first, here's his Morrow bar.
I get the Morrow bar.
You get the Morrow bar for being the most observant crew.
But I must say, it's just a matter of fate.
Yeah.
The timing was that I was on watch, so
Thanks for keeping us safe, Rog.
for being such a good captain,
Thanks for keeping us safe.
you get half
I get half. Oh, your generosity.
back.
Kamate aho ite aroha e kamate aho.
So this is for Serge, just to show that we've read your book, Fishing
Oh,
for
yeah, I
fishing
read
for
the book.
fishing for dummies.
Fishing for dummies, but I didn't see how it could apply to surgery.
So there we go, and look, fish down there, and look, lo and behold, what have we got back there? It's another one. Is this a special hand over hand technique for pulling the line?
Well, if the barracuda can go bad.
Motoring round to Picton, across Golden Bay. No wind for sailing. Well, I tempted fate with that statement. Lo and behold, 25 knots raced in from the northwest, and with 3 reefs only, we barrelled off at 7 knots towards Cook Strait. The sea jumped to about 2 metres in 10 minutes. We were meant to time our arrival for daybreak at the entrance to Queen Charlotte Sound. We had to jibe off Stevens Island in the middle of the night, and then run in behind Cape Jackson and drop anchor at about 3 in the morning. Not the tame end to the trip we hoped for. I even had to put my wet weather jacket on for the first time for warmth. Still, you have to expect anything at sea, and this was just a reminder. The last sail as we go down Queen Charlotte Sound. We left the Triple Reef main in just to show that we're real sailors, and full head sail in about 25 to 30 coming down off the mountain tops. Skipper Pete at the controls.
Yep, doing all the hard work.
In his slippers.
In his slippers.
In his slippers.
Hadn't changed his slippers all trip, mate. Still
Yeah, look at
the
that.
carpet slippers.
Don't get out of the garden conservatory.
That's the one.
Even though Picton is the official port of entry, Serge and Joanne on Spirare made to Nelson, some 100 miles closer, as they were short of fuel after we both spent about 100 hours motoring. To our minds, it didn't make sense having a port of entry further than Meat B after many days at sea.
Waikawa Marina.